I mean, we could check out that matchup. What's everybody else on? We got.
Oh, they already got started, so we better hurry.
Okay.
All right. Overlay is not updated. Give me one moment. Oh, I'm on it right now.
Darren, the only thing I'll say, you switch to the timer.
Yes.
There you go. Okie dokie.
So right now we're just seeing land drops and more land drops. And now we're fetching it's
RG and Ryan.
Ryan, is just fetched up an island and is Archmage Charming, drawing 2.
Kind of interested to see what Ryan's changed to. He was playing blue-white, and he played it a couple 1Ks in a row. And then I believe he went to 4-color. And then
RG?
Now he's on blue-red Murktide.
Oh, Ryan. Gotcha.
Ryan, yeah. Because he generally does well, so he finds himself on camera quite often when he's here.
Yeah, Ryan is 13th place overall on the leaderboard. He's already qualified, and RG, I believe, is also qualified. RG's at 38th place, but he does have that automatic invite locked in, and he's at 14 points.
So, plans tuck the rag to the bottom. Puts the bobble in hand. We play with number 1. Another one in hand.
Fetching up basic planes.
And this is just one of the reasons why, like Terrence said earlier, Blood Moon's just not good against them.
Right.
It's,
Cycling a Triumph.
bob him first. It was its fairy that he drew.
Seems good.
Does seem good. It's a little bit confusing there. I think he asked cards in hand. Ryan said 8. And he said, how? And then he pointed at the bauble and said, this card put me to 8, so I didn't have to discard.
Uh-huh.
It's an interesting question.
That happened yesterday. I was playing against Damien, and he bounced my Wilderness Wreck to my hand, and he goes, how many cards you got? I'm like, 8. He's like, how? And I was like, you just bounced one to my hand? Like, you did it.
You're gonna get a dash Dragavan here.
Would imagine. Try to prompt some sort of response. Gets bolted.
No threats in hand for Ryan. Just a couple unholy heats, a bolt, and a counterspell, I believe. And then another land.
So that one's fine. I'll just counter what you grab.
Right.
No point in firing it off against that and going shields down. In terms of your counter spells.
Not sure what all RG has in hand. I know, obviously, we just saw the Endurance get grabbed. Job of Man, yes. Did we ever figure out what is happening for the players that are tied in points for the last spot? All will be invited. If they are tied for 64th, they will get an invite.
Yeah, basically, we just decided that there's gonna be people who don't show up, who aren't able to make it, and it's very unlikely that the amount of people that tie pushes over 64 when you account for the people who aren't gonna make it. So there shouldn't really be an issue, and even if it goes one round longer, then it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
for season 2, we will have a
we'll have
a tiebreaker in place. It was just missed in us starting it.
We didn't announce a tiebreaker for it, so we didn't really feel comfortable just being like, oh, hey, tiebreaker is whoever comes to the most tournaments, something like that. We didn't want to do that to people, so.
Yeah, didn't feel that was fair without notice, so felt that this was the best solution. So Endurance resolved, tucking Ryan, but then got removed.
Ryan unholy heated it in response to the target. I had to him. Now we're seeing the champ himself, the Shredder. The hate card against prowess, as Taryn would like to say. Because they can't remove it.
No.
That one's a good one, though.
Yeah.
And it will receive a counter spell. But this will prismatic inning, he will connive. Discard one of the bad ones. Wouldn't surprise me if it's the land.
Yeah, especially since it's getting exiled, the counter doesn't matter.
Fetch.
Land off the top for Ryan. Fiery Islet. Another Shredder in hand, I believe. Yep.
Shredder is a cool card.
Couple of bolts in hand for Ryan as well.
It's a little bit of the patience coming out. Ryan, you can tell a lot of people would like to try to get that connive trigger, maybe figure out what else they could draw, but instead they're liking to hold on to bolt.
Bolt on Holy Heat, and is it another counter spell?
Yep. 4 cards in the hand.
I think he just decided, like, I'm probably gonna end up countering something on my opponent's turn, so I might as well just.
But Seiju targeting Fiery Islet, so can be sacked in response, which is what happens.
Fury, and this is probably going to receive a counter spell. You said I'm going to fetch. So he's going to get basic. No connive there because the other action he'd take was beside you. Considering the consider. Connive. Murktide.
Good.
That's a card you'd like to see as the Murktide player.
I just want to say we should have gone for the middle matchup. We're missing a great showdown. It's Jund versus Black Green, just like Jund mid range versus Black Green mid range.
Race Chandler, a little bit of a weird draw if we plan to slam his Murktide, but should apparently be able to keep Delirium if he chooses to. You just want to make sure it's big enough that it's not going to get, bolted away or hopefully unholy heated.
Right. Oh, we're going.
He said I'm making it as big as I
Right,
can.
yeah. Ryan's going for the full 5.
That one can't be unholy heated. I will tell you that. I mean, maybe twice, I guess.
Ryan says, I've been patient enough. Here's the threats. So see what RG has to deal with all this. It looks like is that a Fury? Yes, it is.
Fury. Shredder is big enough that he can't take out 2 creatures with his Fury. Camera got Swift kicked again, sorta. Never mind.
It's pretty lined up.
Gonna deal with the Shredder before it gets too big to be dealt with.
Ryan just has lethal here though. Double bolt. Gonna bolt the Fury though.
Again, Ryan took down game 1. Put a Murktide in play. Had some bolt backups with the Dragon Race Chandler. Really paced out RG's Furies that he was able to play and countered a Baby Teferi. RG fetching.
Sorry guys, once we start on a feature match, we cover the entire thing start to finish. So we'll try to go back to them as soon as this match is over, but
Playing Ren 6 with 1 mana. You're getting
Put that land back in hand from the graveyard.
Fetch Steam Vents. 19 to 17. Could potentially see a Dash Ragavan here. Go Dispute, dress down. Now down to 18. Farther than that. Let's call it 16. You want to see him? Never mind. We're going to play the Shredder.
And connive with a bobble.
Shredder conniving with Bobble actually makes me sick, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Because you can just instantly put that out of bolt range. I believe it starts as a 1/3, correct?
1/3.
Yeah, so now it's already out of bolt range. Obviously, 4-color elemental is not known for playing bolt, I guess, necessarily, but they might play some amount. Some do, some don't. I don't know.
I love how the lands just get played straight to the graveyard.
You're already 5 rounds in. You're done putting them into play. You're like, guys, we both can do it. It'll be fine. So buys the land back with Ren. Jokingly say, oh, I guess I just buy Yori on here. It actually passed instead. Spire Bluff. We now have Ragavan dashed. There's Mystical Dispute in hand. There's Dress Down in hand. So this hits, that'll be pretty important. Rag's gonna go face potentially. Tucks there, blocks Ragavan. Darren's probably the one card Ryan did not want to see.
Yeah, tucking that graveyard and able to cleanly just block Ragavan. And then no follow-up with a second spell or connive or anything for the Ledger Shredder.
Do have decent interaction though. Holding 2 disputes, I believe.
That's a Jace.
You have a chase. That is also true. One more spell. This Shredder gets to connive. RG probably aware of that.
RG buying back a land with Ren.
So this is the situation where RG's going to Fury, and this is his second spell, and this could connive and actually save it.
Oh no.
I would say there's a good chance.
Oh.
Judge call, flag on the play.
Trying to sort it out here. I'm not quite sure what happened.
Shane, level 2 judge. Our feature match judge today. Aaron Hammer, our head judge today, judging the floor. Thanks very much to them. They put in a heck of a day's work at these events.
Oh, it's so funny whenever you hear like somebody yell judge and you just see him and Aaron's neck just snap.
Yeah.
They're like they're trying to find who screamed. So good.
Okay, looks like we are good.
Yep, Aaron Hammer is our head judge. Excellent judge.
Yeah, it is a great name for a judge. The Hammer.
So we'll get an update, hopefully.
Yeah, I asked Shane for an update, but it looks like he's helping another table right now, so it'll be just a
You're
moment.
busy, man.
Yeah.
I want to honestly say, like, there was a mistake on RG's side, forgetting that it either was going to connive or that he accidentally upticked his Ren when he wanted to Fury it and then ping it. But he had already updated it and, like, wanted to backtrack it.
Yeah,
Not say he wants to take it back. I'm saying, like, they wanted to make sure that that's what's happened. And because now we just blanked this Fury into that and it didn't do anything.
I mean, it did force Ryan to not be able to pitch a land. You know, he had to pitch a card that he maybe wanted or maybe didn't, but to get the connive trigger +1/+1. Otherwise, he could have pitched a land to it, but it would have, obviously that would be less than ideal as it would not be there anymore.
Yeah, I'm down to get rid of like a bolt to save my creature on that regard. Swinging this, it's going upstairs. I believe that's it's just like in poker when they have hand signs for certain things. Players typically have a hand sign of where they're sending the damage. And pointing straight forward and lifting your finger up means upstairs.
That is true.
Everybody does it. They're like, point at you and then point up. And it's like, I'm going at you. It's a tone setter. So life totals will be updated. Our judge was answering a question at another table. So he was...
Unholy heating on the endurance.
Getting rid of the Jace feels like he doesn't need it now. He's got enough pressure.
Another one in hand.
I think he surveilled it, right? He didn't connive.
Didn't connive, surveilled it. Gotcha.
I'm not sure.
Apologies, chat.
I could have missed that.
There's a lot going on. I guess having another one in hand would be a good reason to get rid of the other one.
Right.
But I could see the argument where you just like, I'm putting pressure on the board. Like, just keep applying pressure. If it would give you another card like a bolt or a counter spell in hand to get rid of the Jace.
Yeah, the call was something to do with the the Fury with the Shredder trigger, but I didn't really get specifics. But
Yeah.
Verdict.
Verdict on the board.
There'd be no counter in that.
That is true.
Iteration's not a bad rip. Great way to.
Which one you putting in, Jace the Mind Sculptor or Iteration?
Iteration's the
If you now you hit 2 threats.
one
And
hand,
it
one.
costs you 2 less mana.
Definitely want to dash rag if you're going to play it at all because of that Ren. And you know you're not slamming it into an endurance this turn.
Close to rag on the bottom. I think he's essentially just wanting to hold up dispute. Bobble.
Yeah, wanting to play DRC and hold up dispute's totally fair.
Yeah, dispute in hand.
2 of them. Another expressive iteration. It's all about cards that are gas.
Yup.
Those would be ones that are.
Oh, especially if he knew that he put Yorion in hand and wanting to hold up dispute. This makes a lot of sense. Good play by Ryan. I didn't quite realize RG put Yorion in hand.
Like I said before, Ryan's played a lot of control, so he's very good at knowing when to be patient about things.
At some point here, Ryan is going to have to get some damage on Ren.
Yeah, you cannot let that thing.
No, if it retraces, that is, yeah. And that's what's going to happen there.
RG, we need to find what? Like Omnath, probably?
And there's JC Boy. Subtlety.
Subtlety's actually, in my opinion, slightly underrated against these 4-color decks because, again, you get to put it's like an Aether Gust effect.
Right.
So they can't really like get it countered and do anything else. You like put it back on top. I like it a lot. It's also a threat that gets to come and play at flash speed. Although it is a lot worse than most of the other elementals when it comes to like pure power. Things like Fury Ephemerate would be good for RG here.
If someone said uptick the Jace on your opponent, but he has a fetch, doesn't do anything. And he's probably going to have a fetch every turn for the rest of the game, so.
Yeah. That's... I think for Ryan, also just making sure that your cards are incredibly valuable every turn. Jace will also help you stack your hand to make sure that your expressive iterations are good.
Is that a Veil? I think RG, he's got several lands in hand, but I think he just drew a Veil off the top. I could be wrong. I mean, it's tough to see. A lot of cards in hand. Because RG hasn't. He's made a land drop every turn, but with Ren.
But with Ren, so he's capping the lands that he's drawn, basically. Going to brainstorm with Chase. You want to talk about 3 good cards? That was Counterspell, a land to keep hitting if you want to, also a land to hit off your expressive iteration, so you get some value there.
Yeah, Jace fixing the top of your library to make sure you have a good iteration is pretty cool.
Yeah, like you're just like guaranteed at this spot where you can get a land. Also, the Dragon Race Chandler, he didn't even have to look. He said,
Right.
I don't want this.
He's like, I know I'm going to surveil this Otawara into the yard.
And for RG, your life total a little under threat. As many times you played fetch land, you're probably looking for cards like Omnath, like Ephemerate with a Solitude or Fury. Fury would probably be the best case scenario.
It was a little.
Especially if you do draw that Veil, for example, you'd be able to Veil back up that game plan. Be able to wipe out Ryan's board for the most part, and then keep making him get value from his hand instead of a Planeswalker that's been in play. And that's where Jace gets its value, and that's where most Planeswalkers get their value. It's like, the more turns you get to activate it, the less mana it feels like you did to play it.
Right, more value. Gets to check out his opponent's draw. Has another DRC in hand, but I don't know if he's going to commit it to the board or not. Worried about... Okay, so Veil of Summer.
This is actually where you'll see a Subtlety come in play. Subtlety does not counter the spell. Subtlety tucks. And your permanents have hexproof, and your spells can be countered, so they don't have like hexproof on the stack. So if he does try to do a Fury play here or something on the lines.
That's a pretty good draw, but Ryan has the answer for a Teferi.
Oh, heat there. Land, creature, sorcery, instant speed spell, so Jace will be biting the dust.
I can't tell if you're trolling or not, but Veil of Summer does not counter iteration. But it might be bait.
Gotta think he doesn't want this Teferi to resolve here, right?
I'd imagine we're gonna see Subtlety.
Would it be Subtlety or would it be Counterspell?
I believe it would be Subtlety to potentially...
Yeah, Subtlety is just lethal next turn.
It also applies to
Right.
lethal pressure.
But nope, gonna be extra safe and just go with the counterspell. Which I respect that. You have the threat in play that's just gonna win you the game if you protect it. So
Yeah, it also plays around the fact that like you would have had to tap out to do that. Therefore,
That's what I was. Why I was.
right.
I think that there's a mystical dispute in hand as well, which is why I was thinking if you leave mystical for a counter war, you just keep your threat and win.
you also still have lethal if you ever find a bolt.
Right.
At this point, obviously Ryan could have cut them potentially, but I would probably doubt that one. Dashing a Ragavan also helps find lethal, because now you put RG not being able to ever fetch again. And tap draw. So I have a whole lot of options. Says, here's all my lands and a Fury.
Look at all the lands. Wow. That is a lot of lands for RG. And Murktide taking it down, probably top 8ing. Very,
Possibly. He's got good tiebreakers, I believe, because he was at the top table and until the loss last round. So we'll see if Ryan can draw next round or not.